There is a certain kind of wisdom that only comes from living through decades of real life. It is not in a textbook, and you will not find it on fancy how-to websites. It lives in the quiet routines passed down from generation to generation. The way Grandma reused, repurposed, and made the most out of every little thing in her home was not just practical, it was genius. And today, I want to share 21 of those household hacks, clever, simple tricks that Grandma used to keep her home clean, cozy, and running smoothly. These are things I learned from watching, helping, and sometimes just remembering. They are not about being perfect. They are about being resourceful. Some of these might surprise you. Others might take you back to a time when things were a little slower, but a whole lot smarter. So sit back, get comfortable, and let us walk through these timeless household gems together. You just might say, why did I not learn this sooner? 1. Clean with vinegar and baking soda. Back in the day, Grandma did not rely on store-bought cleaners filled with harsh chemicals. She used what she had in the pantry, and it worked just as well, sometimes better. Vinegar and baking soda were her secret weapons. When the kitchen sink got grimy or the bathroom tub started to lose its shine, she would sprinkle baking soda over the surface, then spray or pour vinegar on top. The two would fizz and bubble, lifting away stains and grime without any scrubbing from harsh brushes. She used this method to unclog drains too. A scoop of baking soda, followed by vinegar, then a rinse with hot water. It was safe, cheap, and always effective. Even today, I still use this method for everything from kitchen counters to cleaning burnt pans. It is gentle on the surfaces and kind to your wallet. There is something deeply satisfying about watching that little fizz do all the hard work. It is the kind of practical magic that never goes out of style. 2. Use newspaper to clean glass without streaks. I remember Grandma always kept a stack of old newspapers under the kitchen sink. Not for reading, but for cleaning. Whenever it was time to clean the windows or the bathroom mirror, she would crumple up a sheet and get to work. With a little bit of vinegar, or even just warm water, the newspaper left the glass crystal clear. No streaks, no lint, no waste. It was a small thing, but it worked like a charm. Unlike paper towels or cloth rags that left smudges behind, newspaper created a clean, sharp finish. Plus, it gave new life to something that would have otherwise been thrown away. This simple hack made her house feel fresher and brighter, and it cost next to nothing. It is one of those old-school tricks that still beats modern tools. Every time I clean a mirror this way, I can almost hear her humming in the background, wiping the glass in small, quick circles. 3. Lemon halves to shine faucets and deodorize sinks. Whenever Grandma had leftover lemons, they never went to waste. After she made lemonade or added slices to her tea, she would save the halves and put them to work. One of her favorite uses was to shine up the kitchen faucet. She would take the lemon and rub it directly on the metal, and just like that, water spots and dullness would disappear. The natural acid in the lemon broke down buildup and left a fresh scent behind. She also dropped lemon halves into the sink drain or garbage disposal to cut grease and kill odors. No sprays, no chemicals, just what she had on hand. Sometimes she would even add a pinch of baking soda for extra power. The kitchen would smell clean, not artificial, and everything sparkled just a little more. To this day, I still reach for a lemon before I reach for a bottle of cleaner. Grandma taught me that the best solutions are often right in front of us, and they smell a whole lot better too. 4. Reuse old socks as dusting mitts. Grandma never threw anything away if she could find a use for it. Old socks with holes in the toes, or ones that had lost their match, always had a second life, usually as cleaning tools. She would slip them over her hand and use them as dusting mitts. The soft fabric picked up dust like a magnet, especially on wooden shelves, ceiling fan blades, and baseboards. No need to buy fancy microfiber cloths or disposable wipes. These socks were washable, reusable, and free. Sometimes she added a little lemon oil or vinegar to the sock to polish the surface while she cleaned. I remember helping her as a kid, each of us with a sock on our hand, turning cleaning into a quiet, shared routine. It was simple, it was smart, and it worked. Even now, I have a drawer where I keep those single socks, ready for their next job. Grandma showed me that a home does not need perfection. It just needs care and creativity. 5. Remove carpet stains with club soda. When something spilled on the carpet, a splash of red wine, coffee, or even fruit juice, Grandma did not panic. She had a bottle of club soda ready in the fridge, and she used it more often for cleaning than drinking. As soon as the spill happened, she would blot the area gently, then pour a bit of club soda directly onto the stain. The bubbles helped lift the color from the carpet fibers, and she would blot it again with a clean cloth. No scrubbing, no harsh chemicals, just a steady hand and a little patience. It worked like a charm, even on old stains if she caught them in time. I learned from her that acting quickly and using the right tools made a big difference. Today, I still keep a bottle of club soda around for this very reason. It is one of those grandma tricks that might seem too simple to work until you try it yourself and wonder why no one ever taught you sooner. 6. Freeze leftover herbs in olive oil in ice cube trays. Grandma always found ways to stretch what she had in the kitchen, and nothing ever went to waste, especially fresh herbs. When parsley, basil, or dill were about to wilt, she would chop them up, place them in ice cube trays, and pour olive oil over them. Then she would freeze them. Later, when she was cooking soup, stew, or sautéing vegetables, she would just drop in one of those cubes. It added instant flavor without needing to buy fresh herbs every time. I remember thinking it looked so clever, like tiny green treasures in golden oil. This simple trick saved money and added rich taste to winter dishes. It also made the kitchen smell wonderful. These days, I still use ice cube trays for more than just water. And every time I pop out one of those herb cubes, I remember how Grandma made her small kitchen work like a chef's. Her resourcefulness taught me that with a little planning, good flavor is always within reach. Number 7. Keep brown sugar soft with a piece of bread. There was always something sweet baking in Grandma's kitchen, and she never let a bag of brown sugar turn into a brick. If the sugar started to harden, she would tuck in a slice of bread, seal the container, and let it sit overnight. By morning, the sugar was soft again, easy to scoop and ready for baking. The bread absorbed the moisture just enough to bring the sugar back to life. It was such a simple fix, but it worked like magic. I once asked her why she did not just buy new sugar, and she smiled and said, "Why waste it when you can fix it?" That stuck with me. Today, whenever I reach for brown sugar and find it hard, I remember her quiet wisdom, that patience and a little know-how can rescue just about anything. And yes, the bread trick still works perfectly, even all these years later. 8. Use a wooden spoon to stop pots from boiling over. I used to wonder why Grandma always left a wooden spoon resting across the top of her pots when something was boiling. I thought it was just a habit, until I learned it was a clever little trick. The wooden spoon stops the foam from bubbling over. The texture of the spoon breaks the surface tension, and the pot stays calm even when it is full. She used it for pasta, soup, oatmeal, anything that liked to rise up and spill over the edge. No more messy stovetops or sudden sprints to the burner. It was one of those silent solutions that worked so well you barely noticed it. Now I do the same, and every time, I think of her stirring with one hand and placing that spoon just so with the other. It is funny how the smallest habits become the most lasting lessons. 9. Stretch butter and milk with a bit of water. When supplies were low, Grandma knew how to make things last. Butter and milk were no exception. I watched her stretch a stick of butter by blending it with a bit of warm water and shaking it in a jar until it became soft and spreadable, like a creamy whip. For milk, if the recipe allowed, she would thin it slightly with water to make it go further, especially in baking or casseroles. It was not about cutting corners. It was about making sure there was enough to go around. And you know what? The food still tasted great. She once told me, "It is not always about having more. Sometimes it is about using what you have wisely." That lesson has stayed with me through good times and lean ones. Today, even when I can afford to buy more, I still think about how she used everything carefully, respectfully, and without waste. That kind of thinking is worth keeping alive. 10. Save bacon grease for cooking flavor. One of the strongest smells from my childhood kitchen was the scent of bacon sizzling in the pan on a Sunday morning. But Grandma never just threw away the grease afterward. She would carefully pour it into a tin can or glass jar and store it for later. That bacon grease became a prized ingredient used to fry eggs, season green beans, or add rich flavor to soups and gravies. Just a spoonful made everything taste like comfort. It was not just about thrift, though that mattered. It was about building flavor the old-fashioned way. Today, I keep a little jar of bacon grease in my fridge, just like she did. And every time I use it, the smell takes me back to quiet mornings, buttered toast, and the steady rhythm of someone who knew how to make the most out of every bite. It is a reminder that some of the best things in life come from what others might throw away. 11. Use vinegar as natural fabric softener. Grandma never liked waste, and she certainly did not see the need to spend money on things she could replace with something already in her pantry. That is why she used plain white vinegar as a fabric softener. Just a small splash poured into the rinse cycle helped soften clothes, reduce static cling, and even freshen the washing machine. I remember asking her once if her clothes would smell like pickles, and she laughed, "Not at all. They smell like clean." And she was right. Once the clothes dried, there was no vinegar scent, just freshness. This trick was especially helpful with towels, which tend to get stiff and scratchy over time. Vinegar kept them soft and absorbent without the buildup of store-bought softeners. To this day, I keep a jug of white vinegar in the laundry room, right next to the detergent. It is simple, affordable, and effective, just the way Grandma liked it. 12. Remove yellow stains with baking soda paste. Time and use leave their marks, especially on white shirts and linens. But Grandma had a solution for those yellow stains that form around the collar and underarms: baking soda paste. She would mix baking soda with just enough water to form a thick paste. Then rub it into the stained area and let it sit for a while before washing. Sometimes she added a drop of lemon juice or vinegar to boost the effect. I watched her bring old pillowcases and undershirts back to life with nothing more than a spoonful of powder and a little care. It was not just about appearances. It was about taking care of the things you own. I have saved many shirts this way, and every time I do, I think about her quiet hands, scrubbing gently, but with purpose. It is a reminder that effort and knowledge often matter more than the products we are sold. 13. Dry clothes faster by tossing in a dry towel. Sometimes doing laundry was not just about washing. It was about saving time and energy. Grandma taught me one trick I still use today. When she needed to dry a load of wet clothes quickly, she would toss a clean, dry towel into the dryer along with the wet clothes. The towel absorbed some of the moisture, which helped everything dry faster and more evenly. This worked especially well on cold days when she wanted to keep the house warm without running the dryer too long. It might seem like a small thing, but over time, it saved on electricity and made the whole process more efficient. That is the heart of Grandma's wisdom. Knowing the little tricks that make everyday life easier without costing extra. These kinds of lessons never go out of date, and they still make me smile every time I reach for a towel on laundry day. 14. Repurpose old t-shirts into cleaning cloths. Grandma's drawers were never short of rags, and not because she bought them. She made them. Worn-out t-shirts, flannel nightgowns, and even old sheets were all cut into squares and stacked neatly for cleaning around the house. These cloths were used for everything: dusting furniture, wiping windows, mopping up spills, and polishing shoes. Soft, absorbent, and washable, they were better than paper towels and far more durable. When one wore out completely, she would toss it in the trash without guilt because it had already lived a second life. I remember helping her fold them and stack them under the kitchen sink. To this day, I still keep a bin of cut-up shirts in the laundry room, ready for the next mess. It is a habit that has stayed with me because it is smart, simple, and waste-free, just the way she lived. 15. Save soap scraps in a pouch to use in the shower. No piece of soap ever went to waste in Grandma's house. When a bar got too small to hold, she would gather the scraps and put them into a small mesh pouch, often handmade from old fabric or lace. She hung the pouch in the shower, and when it was wet, it worked just like a new bar of soap, sometimes even better because the scraps formed a soft lather quickly. It was like using every last drop without needing to buy more. Sometimes she made them into little gift bundles for neighbors or friends who appreciated the cleverness. It taught me not only about saving, but about thinking creatively. Now, whenever I find myself with leftover soap slivers, I smile and remember her voice saying, "That is still good. Do not throw it away." Small habits like this one add up over time, not just in savings, but in a mindset that values every resource. 16. Keep used tea bags to deodorize shoes and drawers. Grandma always had a way of making things last longer, even a used tea bag. After enjoying her cup of tea, she would not toss the bag right away. Instead, she would let it dry, then place it in shoes, sock drawers, or even the fridge to absorb unwanted odors. It was her quiet little secret for keeping things fresh without needing to buy sprays or fancy sachets. The dried tea leaves acted like a natural deodorizer, pulling moisture and smells out of tight spaces. Some days, I would open a drawer and catch the faint scent of chamomile or mint, and it always felt comforting. She even used black tea bags to wipe down wooden furniture, saying the tannins helped bring out the shine. Nothing was wasted, not even what others considered trash. That is what I admired most about her, her ability to see usefulness in everything. And now, every time I finish my own tea, I think twice before throwing that little bag away. 17. Place a jar of rice or salt in humid places to absorb moisture. Back when dehumidifiers were not common in every home, Grandma had her own way of dealing with excess moisture. In places like closets, under sinks, or behind cabinets, she would place a small open jar of uncooked rice or salt. Both materials naturally absorb moisture from the air, helping prevent mold, mildew, and that musty smell that sometimes lingers in closed-off spaces. It was such a simple trick, quiet, invisible, and low cost. I remember once asking her why she kept jars of rice in the bathroom, and she told me, "It keeps the damp out, trust me." And she was right. That space always smelled clean, and her towels never felt damp. Today, I still use this method in my linen closet and even in my basement when the weather turns wet. It is another example of how she solved everyday problems with the simplest of solutions. No wires, no noise, just nature doing the work. 18. Make candles last longer by freezing them before use. Grandma loved candlelight, especially in the colder months. There was always a candle on the kitchen table or a few lit in the living room after sunset. But she also knew how to make them last. Before using new candles, she would place them in the freezer for a few hours. This little trick helped them burn more slowly and evenly. She said it made the wax firmer, which meant the flame would not eat through it as quickly. I never understood the science behind it. I just knew it worked. When I moved into my first apartment, she gave me a box of candles with a note that said, "Freeze first, then burn." It still makes me smile. These days, I keep a few candles in the freezer just like she did, and every time I light one, I think of her sitting quietly, reading a book with that gentle flicker by her side. It is a small detail, but one that adds both warmth and wisdom to the home. 19. Soothe coughs with warm honey and lemon. Whenever someone in the house had a scratchy throat or lingering cough, Grandma did not run to the store for medicine. She went straight to the kitchen. Her go-to remedy was a simple mixture of warm water, honey, and fresh lemon juice. Sometimes she added a pinch of cinnamon or ginger depending on what was on hand. I remember being a child, curled up on the couch with a blanket, as she brought me a warm mug and told me to sip it slowly. The honey coated the throat, the lemon cut through the congestion, and the warmth brought instant comfort. More than once, it worked better than anything from a bottle. Even today, when I feel the first sign of a sore throat, I reach for those same ingredients. It is not just a recipe. It is care in a cup. Grandma believed in natural remedies, not because they were trendy, but because they worked. She let nature heal whenever it could, and she passed that belief on to me. 20. Use lavender in pillowcases for better sleep. Sleep was sacred in Grandma's house, and she had her own way of making sure it came easily. One of her quiet habits was tucking a small bundle of dried lavender inside her pillowcase. The scent was soft and calming, and she believed it helped her drift off faster and sleep deeper. She even made little sachets from scraps of cloth and tied them with thread, placing them not only in pillows, but also in drawers and closets to keep things smelling pleasant. I used to think it was just a sweet tradition until I tried it for myself. The scent of lavender does something gentle to the mind. It slows you down, softens your thoughts, and makes the bed feel more inviting. Now, I keep a few sachets in my own bedroom, just like she did. It is one of those small touches that turns a simple night into something restful and full of peace. Grandma knew that rest was not just a need. It was a gift to protect. 21. Line drawers with old wrapping paper to refresh space. Grandma had a gift for turning the ordinary into something warm and welcoming. One of her simplest habits was lining drawers with leftover wrapping paper. After birthdays, holidays, or special occasions, she would carefully fold and save the wrapping paper that was still in good condition. Later, she would use it to line dresser drawers, kitchen shelves, and even bathroom cabinets. Not only did it brighten up the space, but it also kept things tidy and made the whole room feel a little more cheerful. The soft rustle of paper under folded towels or silverware always made me smile. Sometimes, she even added a few drops of lavender oil or tucked in a sachet to keep everything smelling fresh. To her, it was not just about decoration. It was about adding care and beauty to small, overlooked places. Today, I still do this in my own home. It takes just a moment, but it transforms a plain drawer into something thoughtful, personal, and full of love. Sometimes the smartest solutions are not the newest ones. They are the ones that have been passed down quietly, from one pair of steady hands to the next. These 21 household hacks may seem simple, but each one carries a story. A little piece of wisdom from a time when people made do, thought creatively, and treated their homes with care. Grandma did not need fancy gadgets or expensive products. She had patience, purpose, and a deep respect for what she had. And that, in the end, is what made her genius. My hope is that something you heard today sparked a memory, gave you an idea, or reminded you of the beauty in doing things the old-fashioned way. If you found this video helpful, consider sharing it with someone you love, a daughter, a grandson, a neighbor, because wisdom, like love, grows stronger when it is shared. Until next time, take good care, stay curious, and never underestimate the quiet power of a well-loved home.